Hey, this is Jordan, and this video is being recorded about a half an hour before the close of trading. This is Friday, March 4th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I have a lot of information on gold and silver, technicals, fundamentals, a lot of good interviews, a lot more of that stuff coming. But in this video, this is just going to be a quick update on what's happening in the market technically. And this shouldn't be too long of a video. Let's get right into it. So a couple days ago, I believe it was on Tuesday, we had what looked to be a breakaway gap in the precious metals complex. You had it in gold, silver, and the gold stock indices. Now, a breakaway gap can show, sometimes it can leave a huge gap on the chart like you see in these cases. Sometimes it doesn't just because of the color of the candles and the way the bars on bar charts can look. So if you can't see a gap, that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't a gap. But it was clear because if you look at the closing levels on Tuesday and you look at where these markets opened, all right, closing levels on Monday, where these markets opened the following day on Tuesday, there was a clear gap. And so the issue for me, especially after Tuesday's strength, because you had this gap and then you had a huge move after the gap, and wherever you had the huge move, then everything closed at the high of the day. So to me, that was a sign of a breakaway gap. And if it wasn't going to be a breakaway gap, you would need to see these gaps filled really quickly in the next couple days. So gold, for example, closed, or it opened up at 1908 in U.S. trading. And it ended up closing, I can't recall where it closed, 1940, something like that. And so over the next couple days, if it was going to fill, it'd come back down to 1908, go below that. But what we saw, it came back down to 1920, then pushed higher the next day. And of course, we have the another huge move higher today. So basically, long story short, these are breakaway gaps. We have it confirmed. Now, these examples I have on the screen, these are educational. These are in stocks. And so in stocks, gaps are a signal of emotion to some degree. You have a breakaway gap and you have a runaway gap and then an exhaustion gap, which comes at the end of the move, tends to get filled right away. So you can see these are breakaway gaps. And these are with individual stocks, these examples here. So they're a lot more significant. There can be a huge news development that really changes the outlook of the market. So you don't tend to get these huge gaps in things like gold or stock markets or sectors per se. But these charts are just showing you what the difference between a breakaway gap is and then maybe a runaway or an exhaustion gap. So in a big picture, if we're thinking about things on a very big picture level, because these are daily charts here. But on a big picture level, these to me are breakaway gaps in precious metals because they're not going to fill. And that's very bullish because they're not going to fill. We know that means that there's a floor in the market. And also, as you can see here, one thing to note about the breakaway gap, it can be the start of a very strong move. So, with all that commentary, let's get into, we have gold here at the top, silver, followed by GDX, and GDXJ at the bottom. I love stock charts. The one improvement they could make would be if they had intraday data for gold and silver and other commodities, but they don't. But that aside, I just want to close this video by analyzing, what's the short-term outlook here? Well, for gold, last I checked, it was about 1971, 1972. So gold is trading, you see the two red lines there in the gold chart. It's trading above the first one. So there was some resistance around, 1960-ish, that bit of a double top there in November 2020 and beginning of 2021. So gold is closing above that. And so there is some resistance, I want to say, around 1980, 1985. But you can see there really isn't. We talked about 1900 for so long. And after that point, then on the daily chart, you have 1955, 1960. So gold has taken out that resistance level, and that means there really isn't that much left in the short term up until the high around 2070. And so, we had the gap. So there's a lot of strength behind this move. I mean, it's possible gold could climb up to 2070 and retest that, maybe in the next couple of weeks, the next month or so, and from there, maybe you get some kind of a pullback. So that's something to keep in mind. Silver, not the strongest move today, but it is starting to gain in the last hour. I mean, it was in the mid 25s. It's inched higher, and there is some resistance there. I don't know if it's closed above that line, but I mean, the fact is, if gold, which has limited resistance, can carry higher to 2000 and 2070, that's probably going to carry silver up to, that resistance there around 28 or 29. Looks to be in the mid 28s. So that's a possibility. And then at the bottom, we have, GDXJ 48, 47 and a half. That's a very important level going back years and years and years. We would probably expect that to break higher in this scenario, break above 47, 48. And then GDX, very nice move today. I mean, nice move in GDXJ as well. GDX closing in the mid 37s, or, maybe it'll be higher than that by the time this video is done and published. But the next resistance level for GDX looks to be 39-ish. So those are some levels to think about. Short term, I mean, we still could see some more buying given where gold has resistance. I mean, it has eclipsed 1950. So maybe it pulls back for a couple days or a week, but I wouldn't be surprised over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks to see gold retest the high. And, given that, odds probably favor silver getting up to 28, and the stocks will follow. So this is going to be the start of something huge. I've been talking about it in my videos. Granted, I've been cautious recently, but I always said 1900 was the key. And, we're way above that at this point. Very strong weekly close, full confirmation of a breakout. Even though there's a lot of time left in the month, I'm confident we're going to close this month well above 1900. So it all looks really good. And, it's difficult to chase things higher. You don't want to chase, but I think this short-term move that we've had could extend for a couple more weeks. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Follow all my work at TheDailyGold.com. Consider a subscription. Looking forward to helping people make a lot of money over the next couple years. That's my goal. I want to make you money. And on that note, thank you so much. Hope you have a great weekend. See you guys next week.